Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskritya Naram Ched Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Diri Nashtaprayi Shubhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, Chapter 4, the confidential reasons for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, text 31 onwards. Dharma chhadi rage dohe kare milan, kabu mile kabu na mile, devere ghatan. Pure attachment will unite us, even at the expense of moral and religious duties, dharma. Destiny will sometimes bring us together and sometimes separate us. So this is during the Ras Lila pastime, when Krishna left all the gopis and they were in separation. So the gopis came out to meet Krishna in the dead of night when they heard the sound of his flute. Srila Rupa Goswami has accordingly composed a nice verse in 5th chapter of Adi Lila that describes the beautiful boy called Govinda, standing by the bank of Yamuna with his flute to his lips in the shining moonlight. Those who want to enjoy life in the materialistic way of society, friendship and love should not go to the Yamuna to see the form of Govinda. The sound of Lord Krishna's flute is so sweet that it has made the gopis forget all about their relationships with their kinsmen and flee to Krishna in the dead of night. So these are the topmost pastime of Krishna, that is the Ras Lila. And this is what happened to the gopis. They forgot about everything when they heard the flute of Krishna. And actually with the flute of the sound of Krishna's flute, every gopi heard her name to be called by Krishna. By leaving home in that way, the gopis transgress the Vedic regulations of household life. This indicates that when natural feelings of love for Krishna become fully manifest, a devotee can neglect conventional social rules and regulations. In the material world, we are situated in designated positions only, but pure devotion service begins when one is freed from all designations. So sarva upadhi vinirmuktam, then the bhakti starts. When love for Krishna is awakened, the designated positions are overcome. Because all these designations are for the body only. Soul has only one designation: I'm servant of Krishna. The spontaneous attraction of Shri Krishna for his dearest part and parcels generates an enthusiasm that obliges Shri Krishna and the gopis to meet together. To celebrate this transcendental enthusiasm, there is a need for the sentiment of separation between the lover and beloved. To celebrate this transcendental enthusiasm, there is a need of a sentiment of separation, because then the union becomes very attractive. In the condition of material tribulation, no one wants the pangs of separation. But in the transcendental form, the very same separation, being absolute in its nature, strengthens the ties of love and enhances the desire of the lover and beloved to meet. The period of separation, evaluated transcendently, is more relishable than the actual meeting, which lacks the feelings of increasing anticipation because the lover and beloved are both present. Wow. Actually, I don't remember reading this paragraph before. And that is why sometimes people say Prabhupada hasn't given the topmost philosophy. He has given the topmost philosophy. We don't have the eyes to read. Prabhupada has given completely here. This is the topmost thing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us. The period of separation, evaluated transcendently, not materially, is more relishable than the actual meeting, which lacks the feelings of increasing anticipation because the lover and beloved are both present. So the separation is more sweet, more relishable, Prabhupada uses relishable for both the lover and the beloved. Of course, in material tribulation, he says, no one wants the pangs of separation. But it strengthens in spiritual world, it strengthens the ties of love and enhances the desire of the lover and beloved to meet. So separation and union. So this is what Mahaprabhu came to give us. And that is why this land of Jagannath Puri is so very special that Mahaprabhu spent 24 years and last 18 years completely in Gambhira, totally absorbed in Gambhira. He was there in separation, that is mood of Radharani in separation from Krishna, and Jagannath is Krishna in separation from Radharani. That is Jagannath Puri. And this mood is called the Vipralamba Mahapam, separation. And this Mahabhav that is in Srimati Radharani, that only she has, that technical term is Madanakya Mahabhav. That is even higher than Krishna's Mahabhav. It's very, very deep subject actually. I mean, one has to have some realizations to speak on this, but Prabhupada did touch it here. He didn't go in detail because we are not qualified. But he did mention it. Ei sab rasa niryas kariba sva, ei dware kariba sava mattera prasad. I shall taste the essence of all these rasas. In this way, I shall favor all the devotees. This is Krishna's. Vrajera nirmal rag shuni bhaktagam raga marge bhaje yena chadi dharmaka. Then by hearing about the pure love of the residents of Braja, devotees will worship me on the path of spontaneous love, abandoning all the rituals of religiosity and fruitive activity. Many realized souls, such as Raghunath Das Goswami and King Kulashekar, have recommended with great emphasis that one develop this spontaneous love of Godhead, even at the risk of transgressing all the traditional codes of morality and religiosity. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, has written in his prayers called the Mana Shiksha that one should simply worship Radha and Krishna with all attention. Na dharmam, na dharmam, shuti gana nirukatam kilakuru. One should not be much interested in performing Vedic rituals or simply following rules and regulations. Means one should worship Radha and Krishna with full attention. That is Raghunath Das Goswami is saying. King Kulashekar has written similarly in his book Mukunda Mala Stotra. I have no attraction for performing religious rituals or holding any earthly kingdom. I do not care for sense enjoyments. Let them appear and disappear in accordance with my previous deeds. My only desire is to be fixed in devotional service to the lotus feet of the Lord, even though I may continue to take birth here, life after life. Punking Kulashekha. So what he's saying, I don't want liberation. I don't want any sense enjoyment, no bhukti, no mukti, no karma kand, nothing. I don't want to do it. All I want to do is to be fixed in devotion service to the lotus feet of the Lord. That's all. And one who is fixed to such an extent, what can anything bother him? Nothing. Anugrihaya bhaktana manusham deham ashrita bhajate tadrishe krina ya shrutva tatparo bhavet. Krishna manifests his eternal human-like form and performs his pastimes to show mercy to the devotees. Having heard such pastimes, one should engage in service to him. This text is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 33rd chapter, 36th verse. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has innumerable expansions of its transcendental form. We eternally exist in the spiritual world. This material world is only a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, where everything is manifested without inebriety or without any contamination. There, everything is in its original existence, free from the domination of time. Time cannot deteriorate or interfere with the conditions in the spiritual world, where different manifestations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are the recipients of the worship of different living entities in their constitutional spiritual positions. With the different manifestations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are the recipients of the worship of different living entities in their constitutional spiritual position, that is spiritual world. Everything is spiritual. And different manifestations means, suppose Lord Ram or Lord Nrsimhadev, they receive worship of their devotees in their natural positions. In the spiritual world, all existence is unadulterated goodness. The goodness found in the material world is contaminated by the modes of passion and ignorance. But in spiritual world, that is called Vasudeva, Shuddha Sattva. The saying that the human form of life is the best position for devotional service has its special significance, because only in this form can a living entity revive his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The human form is considered the highest state in the cycle of the species of life in the material world. If one takes advantage of this highest kind of material form, one can regain his position of devotional service to the Lord. So this human form is the best position that we can have to revive our relationship with Krishna. Incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead appear in all the species of life, although this is inconceivable to the human brain. The Lord's pastimes are differentiated according to the appreciative capacity of the different types of bodies of the living entities. The Supreme Lord bestows the most merciful benediction upon human society when he appears in his human form. It is then that humanity gets the opportunity to engage in different kinds of eternal service to the Lord. Special natural appreciation of the descriptions of a particular pastime of Godhead indicates the constitutional position of a living entity. Adoration, servitorship, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love are the 5 primary relationships with Krishna. The highest perfectional stage of the conjugal relationship, enriched by many sentiments, gives the maximum relishable mellow to the devotee. At this conjugal love, conjugal relationship, no other incarnation gave. Nobody gave, only Mahaprabhu. Krishna showed it, but Mahaprabhu gave it. The Lord appears in different incarnations as a fish, tortoise, and boar, as Parshuram, Lord Ram, Buddha, and so on, to reciprocate the different appreciations of living entities in different stages of evolution. The conjugal relationship of amorous love, called Parakiya Ras, is unparalleled perfection of love exhibited by Krishna, Lord Krishna, and his devotees. So Parakiya Ras, again, only showed by Krishna. Parakiya Ras. Parakiya is the relationship, conjugal relationship with others' wives. Swakiya is with one's own wife. Parakiya is with others' wives. But this, there's a bhajan called Parakiya Bhave Jaha Brajete Pracha. It's Parakiya Bhav. There's a difference between Parakiya Bhav and really having that relationship. The Bhav is there. Actually, all the gopis are married to Krishna only. But the bhav, the mood is that I am somebody else's wife. so that love, that relationship, as Prabhupada says, the conjugal relationship of amorous love, Parakiya Ras, is unparalleled perfection of love by Lord Krishna and his devotees. That's right, Krishna is, yesterday we discussed Lila Purushottam, he is also Purna Purushottam. Prem Purushottam is Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya is Purna Purushottam. And this obviously, even after so many years of whatever struggle or devotion service we've been performing, is still not easy to be grasped by devotees. So a newcomer definitely will get confused. A class of so-called devotees known as Sahajiyas try to imitate the Lord's pastimes, although they have no understanding of the amorous love and its expansions of pleasure potency. Their superficial imitation can create havoc on the path for the advancement of one's spiritual relationship with the Lord. Material sexual indulgence can never be equal to spiritual love, which is an unadulterated goodness. So this is where we are, in material sexual indulgence. And Krishna's pastimes are in unadulterated goodness. So no comparison. And since our mode of working is in this mode, material is passion, so how can activity in pure goodness be understood by us? The activities of the Sahajya simply lower one deeper into the material contamination of the senses and mind. So Sahajyas means the sentimentalists. They try to dramatize the pastimes of Krishna with their own puny mind, contaminated mind. Krishna's transcendental pastimes display eternal servitorship to Adhokshaja, the Supreme Lord, who is beyond all conception through material senses. Although Krishna says, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, they are all transcendent. In 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says, and one who knows that, he does not take birth again. In Tattva, one who knows them in Tattva, not superficially. So that's why he's called Adhokshaja. Another name for Krishna is Adhokshaja. Adhokshaja means that our senses cannot approach him. He's beyond our senses. Adh Akshaja. Adh means lower. Aksh means eyes or the senses also. And ja means to whatever extent we go, it is always below, lower than Krishna. That's what Prabhupada is beyond all conception through material senses. Materialistic conditioned souls do not understand the transcendental exchange of love, but they like to indulge in sense gratification in the name of devotional service. The activities of the Supreme Lord can never be understood by irresponsible persons who think the pastimes of Radha and Krishna to be ordinary affairs. The rasa dance is arranged by Krishna's internal potency, Yogamaya, and it is beyond the grasp of the materially affected person. What to speak of materially affected person? What to speak of them? Even Lord Shiva cannot enter Raslila. Shivji cannot enter. That's why he was given as a Dikpal of Raslila area, which is Mansarovar in Vrindavan. So he's given, you're a protector of Raslila. You cannot enter Raslila. You don't have the mood of the gopis. And therefore in Braj, in Vrindavan, he is dressed every evening in the form of a lady as Gopeshwar Mahadev. Because he wanted to take the form of Gopi, he wanted to enter Raslila. He was not. Narad Muni was not allowed. What to speak of us? Materially affected persons. That's what we are. Trying to throw mud into transcendence with the perversity, the Sahajiyas misinterpret the sayings Tat Paratvena Nirmalam and Tat Paro Bhavet. So these words will come later. So Tat Paratvena Nirmalam. So until we are nirmal, without any mal, without any impurity in our consciousness, we cannot make progress in bhakti. By misinterpreting Tadrishi Krida, they want to indulge in sex while pretending to imitate Lord Krishna. But one must actually understand the impulse of the words through the intelligence of the authorized Goswamis. Srila Narottam Das Thakur in his prayers to the Goswamis has explained his inability to understand such spiritual affairs. Rupa Raghunath Pade Highway Akuti, Kabe Ham Bhujab se Jugala Piriti. This is Narottam Das Thakur saying. When I shall be eager to understand the literature given by the Goswamis, then I shall be able to understand the transcendental loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. So what to speak of our position? Narottam Das Thakur, he's not saying, writing this so that everybody starts giving him, oh yeah, see how humble he is, and they start respecting him. No. This is his inner mood that is coming out. He's saying, I'm not able to understand because I don't have that eagerness to understand the literature given by 6 Goswamis. So I cannot understand the transcendental loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. And here we think we can understand, and not just understand, we can talk about, we can describe the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. No way. In other words, unless one is trained under the disciplic succession of the Goswamis, one cannot understand Radha and Krishna. The conditioned souls are naturally averse to understanding the spiritual existence of the Lord. And if they try to know the transcendental nature of the Lord's pastimes, while remaining absorbed in materialism, they are sure to blunder like the Sahajiyas. So this is not what we are supposed to do. So that is why this Vedhi sadhana bhakti is very, very important, so that we can We don't make mistake. We don't misunderstand our position and position of Radha and Krishna, thinking that I was reading some other day, just by dressing or putting on gopi skirts or gopi dress, we don't become gopis. Of course, the marketing people, they sell it as gopi dress. It doesn't make us gopis. They just, okay, clothes. The gopis, the mood is very internal. That mood is what we have to understand and appreciate and imbibe, and not just imbibe, fell at the lotus feet of gopis to give us just a speck of the dust from the lotus feet, so that we can make some progress. That is gopi, not just putting on clothes like gopis, but thinking that I have become a gopi. Bhavet kriya vidhilin se iha kai kartavya vashyai anyatha pratyavai. Here the use of the verb bhavet, which is in the imperative mood, tells us that this certainly must be done. Non-compliance would be abandonment of duty. This imperative is applicable to pure devotees. Neophytes will be able to understand these affairs only after being elevated by regulated devotional service under the expert guidance of the spiritual master. Then they too will be competent to hear of the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. As long as one is in material, conditioned life, strict discipline is required in the matter of moral and immoral activities. The absolute world is transcendent, free from such distinctions, because their inability is not possible. But in this material world, a sexual appetite necessitates distinction between moral and immoral conduct. There are no sexual activities in the spiritual world. Okay, Vinay Prabhu, I hope you are really listening to this. There are no sexual activities in the spiritual world. The transactions between lover and beloved in the spiritual world are pure, transcendental love and unadulterated bliss. So to come to that level of understanding, we have to be spiritually elevated. Then we can even get a glimpse of this by the mercy of Krishna and Radharani. Otherwise, no way we can understand anything. One who has not been attracted by the transcendental beauty of rasa will certainly be dragged down into material attraction, thus to act in material contamination and to progress to the darkest region of hellish life. But by understanding the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna, one is freed from the grip of attraction to material, so-called love between man and woman. Similarly, one who understands the pure parental love of Nanda and Yashoda for Krishna will be saved from being dragged into material parental affection. If one accepts Krishna as a supreme friend, the attraction of material friendship will be finished for him, and he will not be dismayed by so-called friendship with mundane wranglers. Mundane wranglers. If he is attracted by servitorship to Krishna, he will no longer have to serve the material body in the degraded status of material existence with the false hope of becoming master in the future. And this is what we all do, all the servants. Servants means whether we are having a job or a business. Well, business, he might be little master, But job-wise, we always want to make progress, so we don't have to serve. We still keep on serving, but we think we become master of the future. Project management, he still a servant, or whatever, branch manager or this manager, still a servant, but we think we're becoming master. Similarly, one who sees the greatness of Krishna in neutrality or Shantras will certainly never again seek the so-called relief of impersonalist or voidist philosophy. If one is not attracted by the transcendental nature of Krishna, one is sure to be attracted to material enjoyment, thus to become implicated in the clinging network of virtuous and sinful activities, and to continue material existence by transmigrating from one material body to another. Only in Krishna consciousness can one achieve the highest perfection of life. Wow. So unless we are attracted to Krishna by his pastime, by his form, by his name, by his beauty, we will be attracted to material enjoyment. So if we're not serving God, we will be serving dog. That's for sure. We have to serve. Ei vancha yache Krishna prakate akaram asura saharan sangha prayojan. Ei mata chaitanya Krishna purna bhagavan yoga dharma pravartan nahe tarakam. Just as these desires are the fundamental reason for Krishna's appearance, whereas destroying the demons is only an incidental necessity. So for Krishna Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, promulgating the dharma of the age is incidental. That's not the major reason he came. Kono karne yabe haila avatare man, yuga dharma kaila kala haila se kale milan. When the Lord desired to appear for another reason, the time for promulgating the religion of the age also arose. So both the things happened simultaneously. Dui hetu avatari laya bhaktagan apane aswade prem nama sankirtan. Thus, with two intentions, the Lord appeared with his devotees and tasted the nectar of prema with the congregational chanting of the holy name. Saidware achandale kirtana sanchare nama prema mala ganti paraila sansare. Thus he spread kirtan even among the untouchables. He wove a wreath of the holy name and prema, with which he garlanded the entire material world. So holy name and prema, and he garlanded the entire material. Ei mata bhakta bhav kari andikar, apani achari bhakti kari la prachar. In this way, assuming the sentiment of a devotee, he preached devotion service while practicing it himself. When Rupa Goswami met Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Prayag, he offered his respectful obeisances by submitting that Lord Chaitanya was more magnanimous than any other avatar of Krishna, because he was distributing love of Krishna. His mission was to enhance love of Godhead. In the human form of life, the highest achievement is to attain the platform of love of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya did not invent a system of religion as people sometimes assume. Religious systems are meant to show the existence of God, who is then generally approached as a cosmic order supplier. But Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's transcendental mission is to distribute love of Godhead to everyone. Anyone who accepts God as a supreme can take to the process of chanting Hare Krishna and become a lover of Lord. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya is the most magnanimous. This munificent broadcasting of devotion service is possible only for Krishna himself. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. And he's most magnanimous. Just by inducing people to chant the holy names of God. He gave them Krishna prema. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has taught the philosophy of surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who has surrendered to the Supreme can make further progress by learning to love Him. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement propagated by Lord Chaitanya is especially meant for those who are cognizant of the presence of the Supreme Godhead, the ultimate controller of everything. His mission is to teach people how to dovetail themselves into engagements of transcendental loving service. He is Krishna, teaching his own service from the position of a devotee. The Lord's acceptance of the role of a devotee in the eternal form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is another of Lord's wonderful pastimes. A conditioned soul cannot reach the absolute personality of Godhead by his imperfect endeavor. And therefore it is wonderful that Lord Shri Krishna, in the form of Lord Gauranga, has made it easy for everyone to approach him. So he made it so easy as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to approach him. Lord Chaitanya has accepted the role of Radharani, and we should support that position, as Swarup Damodar did in Gambhira, the room where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in Puri. He always reminded Lord Chaitanya of Radha's feelings of separation, as they are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. And Lord Chaitanya appreciated his assistance. But the Gaur Nagaris, who placed Lord Chaitanya in the position of enjoyer and themselves as his enjoyed, are not approved by Lord Chaitanya or by Lord Chaitanya's followers. So Gaur Nagari is another one of those Apsampradayas. They place Lord Chaitanya in the position of enjoyer as Krishna and themselves as enjoyed as gopis. Instead of being blessed, the foolish imitators are left completely apart. Their concoctions are against the principles of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The doctrine of transcendental enjoyment by Krishna cannot be mixed up with the doctrine of transcendental feeling of separation from Krishna in the role of Radha. So they're two different, so cannot mix the two. And if we do, then it's just, we're going to be, as Prabhupada, going to hell actually. So I guess I can stop here. That's too much philosophy. So see anybody have any questions or comments.
मुझे very powerful, very deep. मैं तो सोच ही जा रही हूँ कब से. And suddenly you stopped, hasn't it?
ये चैप्टर तो बार-बार पढ़ने के लिए है.
हाँ, and very, very powerful.
Yeah. Sure. You all have a safe and wonderful day.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Prabhuji.
Thanks, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.